One, two. All right, this is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. Sincerely thanking everyone for tuning in to this installment of the 19 Report. I think we're going to do like it is today. So I thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry. This is Community Candid, February 24th. I have so many different topics that I use, but this is Community Candid. We're talking community talk today, and we're going to be on a subject that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to put my name on the subject by myself solo. I wanted someone else to discuss the subject first, and then I would come back in and discuss it so that you couldn't put all the blame on me. I get tired of being blamed for stuff. So I thank you for tuning in. We're broadcasting live on Instagram, also on 3 different Facebook platforms. We're on the 19 Report, we're on the Music Man, and we're also on my news feed. We're broadcasting live on Linked and on my YouTube page at the 19 Report, as well as on Twitter. Now, if you would like to join up on our page on YouTube at the 19 Report, just type in the 19 Report. You can also donate to the broadcast if you would like to donate. Again, this is a community broadcast. We talk about community events. Of course, we invite people in all the time to come on and talk on the show or call in and talk on the show. But when you live in a small town, when you don't have something about you that you feel concerned about the welfare of the children, welfare of the people, in our mind state right now, we think that if we just be quiet, that if we mind our own business, all of the bad stuff is going to pass us by. That's the biggest mistake you can ever make in your life. Because once you know better, you must try your best to do better. We're also broadcasting live on Linked. I thank you all for tuning in. Now, today I posted up several subjects that we will be discussing on Community Candid with Jamil Salib Zamir. You can call me on Facebook at Jamil Salib Zamir. You would have to call in on my messenger. Now, I don't know how well that will come through because I haven't had a chance to really test the platform, but I would give it a try if you would want to call in. The first thing we're going to talk about today is being good at something does not give us a moral pass. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, unfortunately, because a person is good at football, basketball, baseball, we think that they're supposed to be exempt from moral responsibility. So because they can dunk a ball, shoot a ball, hit a ball, bowl a ball, whatever the case may be, run, jump, skip, because they're academically intelligent, we think that because of those qualities, they should not be held to the same standard as everyone else. And when you have people in society who do not hold other people to a standard, then these young children in their young mind, in their adolescence, they grow up without responsibility. And what we have among us today is a generation of youth without the mentality of responsibility. And because they don't have the mind of responsibility, they're doing whatever they think they should be able to do without any repercussions. This is why the violent level is so high. This is why the disrespect, the robbery, the thieving, you got 60, 50, 40, 70-year-old men and women who are giving these young people passes because these people, these elders should be considered elders, had a bum life. I can't put it any better way. And now that they're getting attention, they want the young people to look at them like they're something greater than what they are. So they're willing to go along with the young in order to act as if though they are down with what's happening. This is to the detriment of our future because you're not teaching them anything of moral value. They have no moral compass. I'm going to do what I want to do regardless as to who it affects, unless it affects me or my family. So you have families, big families in this town. They got a lot of cousins and nephews. They think because they have a big family, they can do whatever they want to do. They think that big family coming to fight for them, to be on their side, means that they're going to win. This is going to cause a lot of death and destruction in Manning, South Carolina, and in South Carolina as a whole. We have to begin to teach our children from birth, from the moment they can understand, how to respect themselves and other people. So I thank you for tuning in today. We got 5 things to talk about. God willing, we'll get it done in an hour. We're 5 minutes in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir, again, broadcasting live on 8 different platforms, especially broadcasting on LinkedIn and on Instagram. Thank you all for tuning in. If you like what you hear, if you think it's valuable, please like it and share it. I'm going to be calling some names today. A lot of the people who did sports and other things in South Carolina who've gone on and have lived their life and who are leaving these young people to perish in ignorance. I'm going to call names today. And since you like gossip so much, I know you will indefinitely share this. So please stay tuned as I complete my intro. Thank you. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong, took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone, and then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone, solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions. Right, we are back. This is Jamil Salib Zamir coming to you live. I wanted to get something on the screen so you could see it out of the biblical text, and so I want to do this first. This will be my intro. I should have had it up already, and I'm sorry. First, we're going to go into Isaiah. Of course, we're going to go into the Bible. This is the Bible Belt. Where else are you going to go? So now I'm going to share the screen with you real quick. And I'll be down at the bottom so you can hear me talking. We're going to come out of Isaiah 30 and 10, the King James Version of the Bible. We'll go down to the King James Version of the Bible. And it says, which says to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not, unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. This is talking about a time when the church, when the people who attend church will not want to hear what God is saying we should do or shouldn't do. They're going to want to hear what they want to hear. Tell us whatever it is that we want to hear. Prophesy to us lies. So in order to keep people a part of our congregation today, we got to tell them what they want to hear. We got to prophesy lies. Now, I want to apologize right off top. Of course, when I'm on the internet, any platform, there's always going to be some type of technical difficulty. That's just where we are at this point. I've been blackballed, blue balled, white balled, 8-balled, all of that. You can show booty, you can talk about anything you want to on the internet, but if you're ever trying to spread intelligent content, you are at the risk of not being allowed to broadcast. So we're on, and I'm going to do my best to broadcast as best I can, but we are under a lot of scrutiny at this time. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. Again, I'm going to read this again, the King James Version, which says to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. This is where we are. We're in a place now where people don't want to hear much truth at all. So truth does not get attention. Gossip gets attention, lies gets attention, anything that's flashy and flamboyant gets attention, but anything that requires that we change as an individual, that we look within ourselves and see how we are as an individual, doesn't receive any attention. But here is the thing. Ignorance of God's knowledge is no excuse. So we will still be held accountable to know what God wants us to know, whether we accept it or not. So the vicissitudes of life, the trials that we go through in life is for the purpose of teaching us. Those trials must be painful. And if we do not accept the pain and the consistency, the repetition of the trials, then we'll die in that ignorance. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing by God's permission because I know better. Not that it'll get a lot of attention. This is not going to be the number one podcast for some, but it is the number one podcast for many who understand what is being done. So let's get into the subject matter today. I read that for a purpose. We're going into being good at some point. Being good at something doesn't give us a moral pass. Unfortunately, our children, as I was saying earlier, may be good at a sport, may be a good singer, may be a good dancer, may be good at many things. And as adults, we focus on their talent, but we don't focus on the impediments of their talent. So they may be able to sing, but they're abusive. They may be able to play basketball, but they're a bully. They don't listen. They may be able to do things, but somewhere in that line of their gift is an impediment, a curse. The job of those who understand that is to find that impediment, see what the problem is, and direct and correct the youth so that when they get the opportunity to grow in their gift, they will be mentally, morally, spiritually prepared not to ruin their opportunity. But what's happening among our young people, you see it in the schools, they're ruining their opportunities because the people are busy cheering them on, but not correcting their impediments, allowing them to get away with wrong because they can play baseball, basketball, football, but not correcting their impediments. And once they leave the high school, the middle school, the primary school, the college level, and they have to deal with another level of growth, they're not able to do it. So here you have a person who has the ample opportunity to succeed with scholarships, to succeed with financial growth, like the young man, I don't remember his name, that got the two. Let me see if I can find his name. I'm not good at sports. Basketball player who has $200 million deal. I can't remember his name, but he grew up in a household with both parents. But now that he's playing sports, he wants to act like he's a thug. He wants to be the guy to get the attention for being a tough guy when he's given the opportunity to do great things in sports and make money doing it. Many of our young people, unfortunately, are going to lose their opportunity at growth, at financial potential, at scholarships, because they're good at a sport, but they're bullies, they're arrogant, they don't listen, they're abusive. And we don't check those things, we hide those things. But according to the scripture, what's in the dark will come to the light. And it's going to come to the light at the worst time, when we're almost at the pinnacle of our success. What are you saying, Jamil? I'm saying, as parents, as admirers, as responsible adults, someone has to pick up the baton and say, son, daughter, listen, you're very good at what you do, but you have an attitude problem. You need to humble yourself. Stop hiding the impediments of these young people, because you only get one chance. You only get one opportunity. And we are blowing those opportunities, and these talented children will end up back in the ghetto, back at home with mama, disappointed, brokenhearted. And the next thing is they don't want to work a job, so gang is next. Disrespect is next. My warning to you from God. Stop cheering on the young people only. Look at them and see where they have attitude problems and help them. As a broadcast media specialist, from the beginning in the 80s, I would interview young people and try to teach them how to behave on a couch in front of people. You don't come on with your weed. You don't come on with your liquor. You do that in the hood. But when you're trying to build a brand, you build a respectable, moral brand. Now, I made a lot of enemies in that because they don't see themselves as anything. They don't see you as anything. So the nerve of you to try to correct them. But I will not stop trying to correct them because I know from God that they're going to reach a point in their life where their mouth, their attitude, or their actions may destroy their entire career. So we got everybody there applauding these young athletes coming out of high school, but very few people correcting them, not even the coaches. You let them slide because you need their skills to make yourself look good. My warning to you is pay attention to your the people that you coach, your students. Talk to them. Make sure that a counselor is available to find out if they're having relationships issues, drug issues, attitude issues, mental issues. Because these things are going to stop them from growing to their maximum potential. And let me tell you something. I don't care how good you are at doing something. Someone has to have the resources to help you get to the next level. And if you are not approachable, if you're not coachable, if your image is tainted before you get there, then you're a liability. You're not an asset. Talk to these young people. They're listening to you. They're not listening to me. But I'm giving you this information because at least 5 to 10 young people with potential to have scholarships, potential to go pro in sports are going to lose those opportunities because of their attitude, because of guns and drugs and gang affiliation, because of abuse. Because of all of these things, they're going to lose those opportunities, no matter how well they play. Because one thing about a child is that they're still a child. They may be doing adult things. They may be driving a car. They may be but the brain does not register adulthood until around 35. So they're still doing and engaging in reckless things that can destroy their life. Now, if you just there helping them destroy themselves, when the opportunity comes and they lose it, it's gone. You can't fix that. I'm not going to be too preachy. We're 17 minutes in. Okay, I didn't find the person I was looking for. I know many of you know who I'm talking about. I would say he's from Sumter, right? Sumter, South Carolina. He has the braids, you know. I can't remember his name, and he's on the court being super disrespectful. Oh man, I can't find him. They even got a song out about him now, but he's gonna lose his potential for growth if he's not careful. And it doesn't look like his father is helping him to be a better person. His father and those around him are encouraging him. Or at least not telling him to stop what he's doing. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Again, thank everyone for tuning in. You like what you're hearing. I know it's going to be offensive to you. We are the strongest thugs with the most emotional heart. We get offended so fast. As the biblical text says, you want to hear good things all the time, but you can't. Someone has to address those things that are not so good. Someone has to be what you would call the devil's advocate in a sense. The person who sees what you don't see, who can see your impediments before the person with foresight. Someone has to do that. And whether you listen to them or not, you cannot say that they did not tell you to check yourself. But for those who are cheering you on, calling your name out loud, taking pictures with you and promoting you, but not and hugging you and saying you a good child, but not correcting your mistakes, they're destroying your life. You need people in your corner who are not afraid to correct you. Number two, the black political climate. I didn't want to talk about this subject, this black political climate, but I'm glad someone else talked about it first. So now I can read what they said, and you can't accuse me of being that person who said it. But a lot of their sentiments are exactly what I feel. So I want to go to this real quick. And I'm hoping that they will allow me to put it up without blanking it out too much. This is the minority eye. Our lives through our eyes. This is something that was posted up on LinkedIn. And when I saw it, it was very interesting. Here you have 8 black political figures who lost their position in this election year. You see Miss Kimberly Johnson, and you see several others. And when I talked about Miss Kimberly some time back, a lot of what I said is in this report, but I didn't see this report. I'm just seeing this report this week, but I wanted to talk about it. The headlines first. Silencing Black Voices, the impact of South Carolina Democratic Party's failure on Black communities. Consequences of diminished African American representation in South Carolina legislature. The South Carolina House, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, just excerpts of it. And I'm quoting, in the South Carolina House of Representatives, the recent loss of 8 African American legislators is more than just a partisan power shift. 5 were defeated by white Republicans in the 2022 midterm election, and 3 lost their districts due to the gerrymandering during redistricting. This loss of representation is an ominous sign of things to come. The loss of Black legislators weakens not only the Democratic Party influence in South Carolina, but also deprives underrepresented African American communities across the state of their voices. Stop. I'm going to read that again. The loss of Black legislators weakens not only the Democratic Party's influence in South Carolina, but also deprives underrepresented African American communities across the state of their voices. Now, I've talked to many Democratic representatives, or those who claim to be Democrats, and my concern with them, to them, is that you're not in the Black community enough to explain to Black people exactly what it is that you do. And you're not in the Black community enough to explain to Black people exactly what you can do for us with your vote. Now, this is not racism. The fact of the matter is that everyone who votes a candidate into office votes for them with the expectation of receiving something in return for their vote. But just as with music and other things in the beginning, we just want to do it because we love it, while others do it to make a living. We just want to vote because we like the person, while others do it to change their condition in their community. But we have been convinced that just because a person is of color, Black, that they have our best interests at heart. They don't. Whoever understands that candidate the best and how to get that candidate to do what they want gets the best of that candidate. You may get them in your community for events like cookouts and things like that, but you don't talk politics while they're there. But when they're in other communities, it's politics. How can you fix this road? When will you fix this road? How can you redistrict? How can you do this? How can you do that? And if we don't understand the political arena and the power of politics, I'm talking local politics, and our ability to bring politicians to task, what are you doing for our community? This is in the minority eye. But it is what I wanted to say. So I'm still in quotations right now. The loss of black legislators weakens not only the Democratic Party's influence in South Carolina, but also deprives underrepresented African American communities across the state of their voices. Their legislature were more than just elected officials. They were advocates for their communities. They were supposed to be advocates for their community. But when you don't hold community forums and allow the community to know what you're doing, when it's going to be done, how it's going to be done, how does the community know that you're working for them? If you are voting in legislation in the school system and we don't know what it is and we don't understand what it is, we don't know that you did anything for us. And every voter wants to know, what can you do for us? The LGBTQ community are voting people in positions that will do something for them. Barack Obama was voted in by them for them. Understand, this is not bias or racist or any of that. This is just fact. If we don't understand the political arena and the power of the vote and what is required of those that we vote for, we're just proud to say we voted. When you see these people with them little stickers, I voted. Why did you vote? Why did you vote for that particular person? And what do you expect for them to do for us with their time in office? And if that is not done, should we revote them in and give them more time? Or should we say they need to be replaced? So there were supposed to be advocates for the community, but are they advocates for the community? Where is the proof? Whether they are Democratic or Republican, because Democrats are voted in, but they work for Republican interest. Republicans are voted in who work for Democratic interest. At the end of the day, the Democrat or Republican is not the point. The person who gets the things done that we need done is the point. Now, their absence means that the unique concerns and needs of these communities will likely go unaddressed. Now, our unique concerns have always gone unaddressed. There is no candidate that came to black neighborhoods, black hoods, or black communities, rather, unless it's Pine Knolls or someplace where it's a diverse community, that has done those things that are necessary to do for us to say they are a good candidate. Now, you don't put more pressure on a candidate that they are able to oblige. But if you're able to do it, then do it. African American legislators lost during the 2022 midterm election. House District 12, Republican Daniel Gibson got 53% of the vote, defeating Representative Ann Parks. House District 64, Republican Fawn Pedalino got 55% of the vote, defeating Representative Kimberly Johnson. House District 116, Republican Matt Lieber got 52 of the votes, defeating Representative Cardale Murray. House District 117, Republican Jordan Pace got 64% of the vote, winning the seat held by Representative Crystal Mathis, who lost her U.S. Senate race against Republican U.S. Senator Tim Scott. House District 122, Republican Bill Hager got 54% of the vote, defeating Representative Sheridan Williams. Now, why were they defeated? African American legislators who lost their seats due to the district mergers resulting from redistricting, Representative Cesar E. McKnight, Representative Jerry Govan, Representative Wendy Brawley. Why did they lose their seats? Because they were confident that the people that they appeared before would vote for them without question. Not understanding that the only thing that is necessary to sway a vote is to bring in reasonable doubt. And once you bring in reasonable doubt of a candidate's qualifications, dedication, purpose, and results, then the people will begin to question their vote. The candidates must be before the people. And when you come before the people, you must ask the people, what is it that you desire for us to see if we can do for the community? But when you only come and show your face and someone says that you're doing something that is not so ethical in office, then the people who saw your face but don't know your character will begin to question your integrity. We're 30 minutes in. It's a part of this that I want to read, and we're going to close out of this. Why South Carolina DP leadership matters. The loss of these seats also highlights the needs. Listen to this. Highlights the needs for African Americans to be more active and engage in the political process. African Americans make up a significant percentage of the population in South Carolina, and their votes have the power to make a difference. The loss of these seats should serve as a wake-up call to African Americans that it is vital to become more active in politics and work to ensure that their voices are heard and their issues are addressed. But check this out. Also, it highlights the need for the South Carolina Democratic Party to acknowledge that their continued failure to turn out Black voters may be due to a failure to listen to the needs of the Black community. I've been saying it, but you all get angry at me because you think I'm against Black candidates, but I am telling them something of value that will help them get the votes when it's time for the election. I'm not saying this. The writer for the Minority Eye is saying what I have been saying for over the last 20 years. It highlights the need for the South Carolina Democratic Party to acknowledge that their continued failure to turn out Black voters may be due to a failure to listen to the needs of the Black community. You listen to the needs of Waibu, Pine Nose, any place that seems to have numbers or people of consequence. But when it comes to the poorer areas where you expect these people to vote, you don't listen. You can see the roads are tore up. You can see the crime. You can see the violations of the laws. Listen, in areas behind Manning High School, they have constant police patrol. Constant. I have family members that live back there. The police are constantly up and down patrolling the community. Pine Nose, Waibu, constant patrol. But violence and drugs and loud parties and disrespect in other areas. But all of us are giving our votes to candidates who should be concerned about all areas of the county. Now, you can take this with a grain of salt, but I understand politics very well because God has made me to study it for the last 5 years. I understand it very well. And I know when a candidate is bought, and I know when a candidate is pretending to care when they don't. But my concerns are not the point. God has stepped in now. And people will be held accountable. When you make a promise that you will help the people, you must help all people. Now, there are certain people who feel that they are above the law, that they should be given more than others because they shell out the money. But as I said earlier, when there is no moral compass involved, then there is an issue that will come to the light. I'm going to read this. We're going to close this out. We're 34 minutes in. I'm going to read this again. Also, it highlights the need for the South Carolina Democratic Party to acknowledge that their continued failure to turn out Black voters may be due to failure to listening to the needs of the Black community. It demonstrates the need for significant improvement in their messaging and strategy, and highlights a critical lack of diversity in the planning and implementation process during campaigns. Without input from African Americans from the communities they aim to reach. The party's voter outreach efforts are doomed to fail. Now, I've gone to council meetings and talked to councilmen, and I'm telling them there must be a voice. There must be a community voice from the black, white, lesbian, all of these communities must have a voice to speak on behalf of all people. There can't just be these upper echelon whites and well-to-do blacks who get all of the power positions. Their children all of a sudden are judges and lawyers. And how are they getting these positions when they didn't even go to school for that? They know nothing of the position. They know nothing, nor do they care about the community. How are they getting these positions? You want this lineage of family to control everything. It may work for whites, but it is not going to work for us. And it is not going to work long-term for whites, because even whites are seeing the disproportionate treatment and other amenities that are allowed to blacks and that are allowed to whites, that are allowed to Hispanics, and that are allowed to others. I couldn't speak like this 10 years ago because you all want to label me as a racist and a rebel rouser and a troublemaker. I've been called out by the mayor and others as being a troublemaker because I speak out against things that's not being addressed. But I'm not a troublemaker. If I am a troublemaker, then Jesus Christ is a troublemaker. If I'm a troublemaker, then Rosa Parks is a troublemaker. If I'm a troublemaker, then Dr. King is a troublemaker. Malcolm is a troublemaker. Elijah Muhammad is a troublemaker. Medgar Evers is a troublemaker. Because my agenda is the same. Equality, not trouble. A little bit of trouble, but good trouble. Someone has to address these issues. But when people are talking down on someone who's willing to stand, check those people. Check them out. Make sure they are who they say they are. Make sure that their agenda is what they say it is. Because I'm a part of the NAACP too. I'm a volunteer in a lot of programs. And I help all people. I don't just help a few. I help as many as God will allow with my health conditions. I am empathetic to the conditions of people. I was homeless. I've been in jail for a little while. I've had heart surgery. I've died. I've been homeless. I've had no food. I've been a single parent. Most of the things I've lived across town. Y'all know those things. So my empathy is real. It's not fake. It's not phony. It's compassionate. All right. The loss of these 8 legislators is a sobering reminder of the work that still needs to be done to achieve proportional representation in our political system. We must strive to make sure that all voices are represented in our state legislature. We must work to create a political system that is truly reflective of the diversity, the diverse history of not just our state, but America. And that is my goal. My goal is for diversity, but unity in that diversity. Some people don't like that. See, when you start pointing out, why do they get 5 pieces of bread and we only get 1 when they only have 2 people in their house, but we got 5? You're considered a troublemaker. We're the type of people who want to just like people because they are famous. And we just want to take pictures with them because they are famous. But political figures are required to prove that the position we voted you into, not only are you qualified for, but that you are willing to fight for all people, not just a couple. That time is out for us sitting in a room. You know, they help the white people more than they help us. Time's out for that. Equality or else. Because if you stay silent, then it continues. And as long as it continues, it gets more and more evil. because you start to have cutbacks and you start to have payola where they're paying under the table, and then the money that they're raising for campaigns, they start to use in the they start to inappropriately use the money because we think they're using it all for their campaign, but they're paying off their houses, buying new cars, going on trips. We think they're doing right by the people, but they're being paid to do wrong by the people. I'm not saying it. This report is saying it. I didn't write the report. I thought it. I said it on several occasions, but I was considered the devil. But check this out. You get it bigger. Consequences of diminished African-American representation in South Carolina legislature. I did a broadcast entitled Black Skin is Not Enough probably 15 years ago. Don't matter the color of the skin. What matters is the moral construct of the individual. Are you a fair person? A Personal Perspective by Michael R. Bailey. I didn't write it. Michael Bailey wrote it. I'm just repeating what he said, but a lot of his sentiments are mine. We're going to get off of that topic. That's number 2. Thank you all for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina. Go ahead and spread the word. But when you tell one of these candidates what I said, make sure you tell the truth. Don't lie, because God is not holding back truth for 5 and 10 years. It's coming right out. It's time that we check the liar, check the crook, check the killer, check all the people who wish to destroy, but act as if though they are building. Number 3, how athletes drop the ball and watch future potential giants ruin their lives. A few years ago, a lot of you athletes from Manning, South Carolina, you all came back to Manning. You done lived your life, whether you got money or not, I don't know. But you back here now. And you've gone into the professional leagues and you understand how professionalism works. You understand what is required of baseball, football, basketball players. But you have dedicated very little back to the community that supported you to get where you got. I'm talking about you. Now, I'm calling names. And I know many of these people are coaches in high school who are giving back. They say hit dogs will holler. So if I'm not hitting you with this, don't holler. As a musician and a person who got a contract with Profile Records, Def Jam Records, when I was coming up, I share all of my knowledge with the young. They don't say it on Facebook and stuff. Thank you, Jamil. But when they call me to get trademark, paperwork, anything done, I don't charge them. If anything, I charge them earnest money, about $20 to see if they're really sincere, but I help them get as far as they can with the knowledge that I have. I try to help them with their character, their representation of themselves. I've told many of these Sugar Hill guys, SWAT, and all the other ones, stop representing all that gang and let people see who you are as a father, a brother, a son, and represent music in a way that we don't lose lives because your music is being played over the stereo. But they're not listening. They think I'm a punk, a sucker, a nothing. When I'm trying to tell them, this is where music is going. We've lost too many people to this violent music. Build yourself up, build character, dress up, look good, learn how to talk, learn how to speak. I do these things. I made a lot of enemies because of it. But to your Tracy Gambles, your Freddie Gambles, your Glenn Murrays, Anthony Briggs, Ned Darley, any of you football, baseball players, even to the York family, Patrick York, all of you very good athletes, basketball players, Eric Blackwell, all of you all that have an opportunity to go out. If you go out to the baseball field, you see predominantly white children playing baseball, getting baseball scholarships to go to college, go to school. I don't blame them. They love the sport too. And they're playing to the best of their ability because they love it. My son was good at baseball, and LeBron from the baseball field wanted my son to come and practice, and my son was 13 at the time, 14 or 13, wanted him to come and practice with adults. My son decided he didn't want to do that. My son blew that opportunity. But LeBron offered that opportunity. Come practice with me. I like the way you play. I like your attitude. Blah. And a lot of coaches wanted him. But a lot of these young people are being influenced by the street, Freddie and Tracy and all of you all, Ned. And I did see Ned out at the park training with young white boys. I didn't see you with no black boys. I don't know if that's your business, if you're paid to do that or what, but offer your services to all people. And this is not a jab at you all. But you all are promoting adult leagues, and you want to live your second childhood, but we got a generation of children who are dying with great potential. Either you're scared of them, most of your parents, you're scared of your children because they're crazy, because their brains are underdeveloped and they're mildly retarded for real. I'm not making a joke. From the acetaminophen that you've pumped them full of to make them go to sleep as a child, to the liquor, the marijuana, and everything else that they're taking, the brain does not fully develop until you're 26 to 35 years old. They are retarded, mildly retarded, so they're crazy. They don't have emotion. They don't have fear. They don't have empathy. They don't have the qualities. They really believe that they can do what they want to do when they want to do it, and not even death stops these children. You kill one, the rest put on a t-shirt, fly some balloons, and go right back to the foolishness. My point is, this is a dedicated thing that will take the rest of our lives to correct what has happened to another generation of our young people. And to the white people, it's happening to yours too. Although they got their trucks dipped down in the back, they playing drill music. They saying the N-word, N. And you might be able to get them out of trouble a couple of times, but when see, our people will shoot up the black community, but they ain't coming over the Pine Nose or the Waibu. They ain't gonna do that because they're limited in their toughness. But you all got a job to do. Snatch up these young boys and girls and train them forever. Not just for the summer, not just for the day, not just on Sunday up to you ministers, thinking that you can have a little youth program once a year. Hell, we teach our children till they're 18, and the minute they get out the house, they forget everything we tell them. So these young people are losing their scholarships, their chances at a better life. If you're tough, be tough. And be tough with these children. Give back now. I want to see flyers up, youth baseball program, how to hit, how to pitch, how to deal with conflict resolution. And y'all play ball on Sunday. I mean, you can't do but so much. Your knees ain't no good, your back ain't no good, but your brain is fine. So use it for the people. This is Community Candid with Jamil Salib Zamir. 48 minutes in, we got an hour. Give me an hour. Number 3, how athletes drop the ball and watch future potential giants ruin their lives. That ballpark out there in Bellwood used to be full of black people with potential. Now it's predominantly Mexican and white on the soccer field and on the baseball field. It ain't their fault that they want to take advantage of it. But what's happening to our children that they're not running and hitting and jumping and doing things and learning how to deal with conflict? Number 4, youth are dying at an alarming rate, but not just physically. That falls in line with what I'm saying about our young people. I want to show you something real quick that my son, he's 16 years old. He showed me. So I want to do this real quick if I can. I'm going to go all the way back down. This is the United States though. But I want you to see that this is not a game. We're losing our young people. This is for real. We're losing them. This is the world scale population pyramid of the world from 1950 to 2100. Now, where I am right now in population, and my son showed me this, I'm in 1965. And you see at 1965, the youth is spread out at the bottom. The young folk from 0 to 4. Up at the top, as it should be in the 90s, the 80s, 75, death. But down at the bottom, there's growth. That is 1960. Now let's go to 2015. In 2015, you see at the bottom, young people, 45%. From 25 to 29 is getting up there. But the young people are dwindling. Now let's go to 2020. 41% is getting smaller and smaller, the amount of young people. Now let's go to 2025. See that? Smaller and smaller. By 2040, look at that. By 2090, the young are dying, the older are living longer. Youth is wasted on the young. Everything is falling apart. And we are so busy trying to I'm gonna mind my business. Like you can't care about everything. No, you can't care about everything. But what if God thought that way? What if God said, I can't care about everything? I can only care about a few people, not all of them. Yet everybody is praying to God for mercy and grace and opportunity. Time is moving fast, so I got to move. I wanted to show you this about South Carolina, and then I'm going. I'm sorry. I got a lot of sinus issues. I apologize. Manning, South Carolina, 3,919 people in Manning. We got to move along. We might go a little over. Population by age and category. All right. Under 18, look at the amount. Under 18, 19%. From 18 to 64, that's a big old number, 51%. But from 65 and over, 30%. So from 18 to 64, 51%. From 65 to over, 30%. I need you to look at these numbers. I'm going to go fast through them. You can look it up yourself. This is the population of Manning, South Carolina data profile. Of course, we live in poverty. 29.4% of people in Manning, even though y'all flashing monies and talking about y'all popping bottles, according to statistics, we're living in poverty. You don't know what that means. Number in the household, persons per household, 2.5. Marital status, of course, is iffy. I don't even know how to understand that because they're saying marital status by sex. And then they have males at 51% and females at 36%. I don't even understand how that works. It shows you the single housing units of the housing structure. The median value of homes in Manning, $107,600. 100,000, Education's attained, 79.9% have high school or graduation, but only 16.2 have a bachelor's degree or higher. I want you to see these statistics, because what is being represented to you over Facebook and all these other things is a lie. The truth is in the numbers. Now, of course, when it comes to the census, a lot of people don't answer the census. But based on these numbers, what you're seeing with all this, everybody got money and all that stuff, it's a lie. Last thing on the list, we're 54 minutes in. Loyalty is dead. The dollar creates moral bankruptcy. The dollar creates moral bankrupt whores. I'm going to give you a short story. I lived across town in Manning. I'm not going to call their names, but two people went AWOL from the military, young folks from cross town. Hanging out cross town, had no money, had no future, had nothing. I was working for the white man on the corner in the big white house across town. When you come up to the stop sign, there's a big white house on the corner. He's no longer alive. But I did demolition work. I tore down houses piece by piece and saved every part of the house so that it could be resold. In other words, they could take that whole house, go someplace else and rebuild it. Numbered all of the boards, took them apart, took all the nails out, big houses. We did a lot of work on Nelson Circle. These two young men didn't have a job, was hanging at Austin Simon, and they saw me going to work. One of them asked me if I could get him a job. I got him a job. We're talking about loyalty. Had him working with me. I taught him about shingles, how to tear down construction, taught him all of that. His buddy asked me, can you get me a job too? We need money. They trying to get out of town because the military after them. I got him a job. The money wasn't coming in fast enough for them. Long story short, I went to my boss because I was the foreman on the job. I said my workers need to make more money, and I told them why. I'm talking to you about loyalty. He said, well, I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. I don't think I'll be able to do it. I said, well, if you're not able to do it, we're going to have a problem. I knew what I was going to do because the young men at the time, they might be tough guys now. They forgot what I did for them. They never told me thank you, but I knew they were afraid because they were about to be arrested and put in military jail. So they were running. Got to work the next day. The man said, I can't give them no more money. I said, well, then if you can't give them any more money, we're all going to walk off the job. We're all going to walk off the job. He didn't believe it. I told them, put your hammers down, let's go. I never turned back around, even though I was making money on that job. My loyalty was to them young boys and hoping that they would see what loyalty was. So I had a family. I had my daughter and my son and my girlfriend at the time living across town behind Good Blood shop. They tore down the building. Nobody across town, by the way, gets to buy land over there except for a few people. But everybody else comes from out of other places and buy up all the land and tear down the historical buildings that are on the land and just have land there. I don't like that. But I walked off the job as a show of solidarity that when we stand together, we can make a difference. They didn't understand that. I never got respect for that. Across town, I saw a group of young men about to beat a man to death with crowbars and 2x4s in front of my house. A lot of you remember this. I came out of my house and I said, look, I can't stand here and allow you to beat that man like that. I said, I'm getting ready to call 911 for the rescue squad. I won't tell them who you are because I knew all of them. 2 of them are dead, were gunned down at clubs. And they were beating this man in the head with bats and all kind of stuff. I said, you need to leave. I called. I grabbed the man. The man defecated on me. He urinated on me. I held him. He bled on me right there in front of Good Blood shop. I never told who those young men were. Never did. Never. There's a form of loyalty that is embedded and inbred in us that you all got to promote all the time, that you solid, you real. We didn't have to do that. Today, whoever got the money, we will sell out our brothers, our friends for the dollar. You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for selling out people who were good to you quicker, expediently, quicker than before. Because when you know better, you're supposed to do better. Now, I know how you all are. But to the families who are out there, you fighting with your family, we protect family. If they wrong, they wrong. To the people who out there that people do you good and you get a chance to reciprocate that good by doing the right thing and you do wrong, when you're wrong, you're wrong. I need you to think about these things. This is Community Candid. This is Brother Johnny, Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. 59 minutes and 28 seconds. I thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all on Instagram. Please like and share this information. And if anyone has a question for me about what I said, please talk to me. Stop talking to these people who got the devil in them. They're not going to change. They're the devil today and they're going to be the devil tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong, took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone, and then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone, solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions.